Hello?
Hello.
Oh, hi, is this Coyotama?
It is.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay.
Alright, first I wanted to, thank you for joining.
hmm
So, how are you doing right now? How's your day?
Well,
Huh? What was that? Hello?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. So, before we get started, is there anything you'd like to say?
No, not really. No comment.
Okay. Well, to begin with, I just want to read why this whole mess started. Well, not a mess, but why your attention has been drawn. Here, let me find it.
Well,
Oh, yeah, here you
Madam Gypsy is admin of a furry group called Daddy Roulette, which focuses on in real life reproduction as a kink, and she's still in as admin, which is why everyone's leaving that. The owner of the group is someone named RBBC, who's a plushophile,
A what now?
and a plushophile.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Madam Gypsy is his admin. Still. So, anyway, the uh, the gal I got in trouble for and did my time for needed some friends, so she ended up joining the group. And when one of the other admins got suspicious of her, looked up and found on other profiles on other sites outside Telegram that her age might be in question. Um, she got kicked out, and then suspicion came upon me that I had something to do with it. Madame Gypsy played it off like, well, since you're being very cooperative and left on your own, we can still be friends and everything. But I didn't really know about any of the groups like exposing furries and all of that. I didn't know that there was a hatedom with that kind of organization, or that she had been a member of it all this time, the entire time that I had known her. So, me being, the law-abiding citizen that I am, supplied her with information because I still liked the group and respected RBBC at that time. We are not friends anymore, suffice to say. But when she asked for information, I helpfully gave it to her, thinking, people are generally decent people. Little did I know. She immediately turned around and submitted that information to Exposing Furries. And that was the first of 6 or 7 posts with my information in it that were to be posted to the channel.
So, to begin with, you're claiming that Gypsy sent me, because I'm the only person that can post to the channel, sent me information about your arrest.
Yes, she sent information that was sensitive and trusted and not public to her as admin of a group that I respected.
Okay.
That was sent to her because she was admin, and privileged information because she was admin of a group
Well, she never
that
did
was
send
an
me
admin at.
information about your arrest.
It was included in a Twitter post, which was then forwarded to your channel.
Twitter post forwarded to my channel.
And it was also mirrored on the Connor Goodwolf's Canine Century.
Well,
It was included in the channel. I can link you if you want.
let's first um, discuss what is even on the table here. You
Mhm.
have been arrested, have you not?
That is correct.
And you were arrested and registered as a sex offender for having relations with a minor.
That is not correct.
Okay. Well,
Connor Goodwolf and Gypsy lied blatantly about that, knowing that that was not the case. I did not have to register. I took a plea bargain to avoid that.
okay. But did you or did you
If
not
it had
have
gone to trial, it would have been charged as I was arrested. and that would have been a registrable offense, as it is called. But no, I took a plea bargain which dropped those charges, took on another charge which was not registrable. So I'm not a registered sex offender. That is a lie.
Okay. But did you or did you not have sexual relationships with a minor?
I was convicted for that, yes.
You were convicted for that. Did that happen?
Um,
The courts found you accountable. I want you to tell me,
mhm.
did that happen?
It happened and I was punished for it. It's
Okay.
done.
Yeah, it's done, but we still have to understand how this happened so it doesn't happen again.
Right.
How
So,
yeah, go on.
yeah, you were about to ask me how exactly the events leading up to came about. Ultimately, it has to do with money. The whole thing would not have happened if I had the resources to do it properly. So, Anna, that's her name. Um, she has still has a very bad situation at home. Her mother is a real piece of work. Um, Very abusive. Anna sleeps on the floor. She doesn't even get a bed, and she's been sleeping on the floor since about 8 years old. I think she told me. And CPS over there, or actually the California equivalent of CPS, I don't have a CPS as a distinct entity system over there. Um, they've been investigating that household more than once. They're still in investigation, but for something else. Um, but Anna has a pretty rough life over there. And despite what the California police and the courts had decided, it is not true that I went over there with explicit purpose of anything lewd with her. That was not the reason I drove over there. It was not anything that was even on my mind at that time. That was not the purpose of my trip. The purpose was that she was getting kicked out of her home. She was getting kicked out onto the curb, and I wanted to keep her from dying homeless. I happened to be quite fond of her at that time. And obviously, due to reasons, I can't be in contact with her now, but that doesn't change how I feel about it.
Okay. I
So
wanted
I
to ask
had no intention of doing anything with her.
all right. I wanted to ask a few questions about that. How old was she at the time, if you don't mind answering that?
Well, it's not like it's not public knowledge at this point. So she is 17 now. She turns 18 in April, and then she graduates the following June of next year.
Okay.
But at that time,
Yeah.
she was 15,
She
and I
was
was twice
15.
her age at 30.
Okay. How did it, because it's not very common. How does a 15-year-old or a 30-year-old get in contact with each other?
Well, um, that's another point that came up in court, and since it's in the minutes, it's technically public knowledge. Um, she had lied about her age from the very beginning. She entered a group which at the time was called Impregnation and Breeding. That's actually on the minutes, by the way.
Okay.
And the group is still around, though it's been renamed and transferred of ownership to someone else. Uh, Not that it's too relevant, but the group's actually still around, and the logs are still in there in history. It's buried in history, but it's still there. I found it. Um, so she had lied about her age, gotten into a group that was 18 plus specifically. She did not disclose that she was 15 to anyone in the group. And when I first met her, I didn't know either. Um, so that's how I met, got to talking with her. At that time, she was suicidal. And so at the beginning, there was really nothing sexual about it. Basically, I was helping her through her
Well,
depression.
hold on. The chat itself is sexual content based. Everyone is there for the purpose of having like sexual discussions with each other. There had to be
Yeah, but you can
something.
make friends. You can make friends there too. I've done that. I've made friends on OkCupid. It's not that weird.
All right.
I was there for the content. They had a lot. The topic of conversation had to do with a lot of photos and gifs and stickers, and that's mostly why I was there. I wasn't really there to meet anyone for that purpose. RP did happen in PMs, but not with her at the time.
Okay.
So I was mostly there, just there for the content, not really there to meet anyone. It just happened. Um, So she ended up contacting me in PM. She approached me, and we were talking about stuff, and it came up that she was very depressed, and so I was helping her through that, as I've done for many years since I was like 19 or so. Um, so it's helping her through her depression. We were talking about different things, and that's how I met her.
Okay. Well, this sounds like a nice story, but then again, you are 30 years old and she is 15 years old. She barely
Hmm.
understands what she's going to be doing later in life. She doesn't even know what she's going to do after high school. You, on the other hand, have already lived these lives and you've already made a lot of experiences. So you must have a lot of knowledge and wisdom since going through life for so long. At what
Yeah, and she
point,
found that appealing, certainly.
yes, but at what point did you stop to question yourself as a grown adult, as someone that knows right and wrong? At what point did you decide to stop? Because from the story you're telling, you're trying. It seems as if, correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds as if you're trying to pin the blame on her, as if she groomed you.
No, my friends certainly have done that, and my family seems to have done that. They basically say that she catfished, and that was their claim to the court as well. They called the judge and they called my lawyer and said that while I was unwilling to say it, that basically she had catfished me. She lied about her age from the beginning. That I didn't really know what was going on, and but I really don't blame her. I mean, as you pointed out, she didn't have a lot of life experience and had rough situations, so I don't really blame her for any of that. But by the time I knew her age, it was too late anyway.
Why was it too late?
Because the first time I even stopped to question the fact that someone I met in an 18 plus chat might not be 18 plus was when the cops had their hands on their guns, and said, "Hey, do you ever check her ID?" So like gave the cop he was a sheriff, gave him a weird look as I still remembered in my picture in my mind because she was stacked. She was very physically well developed and everything. She didn't look like she was 15. It didn't even occur to me to fucking card her. You know, when I was growing up, you didn't have to do shit like that.
Well, did you not have any red flags when she said she was having issues with her mother, even though she said she was 18? Like she couldn't escape from
Well,
her
you know,
mother?
in the furry fandom, and also other communities like it, anime and sci-fi and everything, living with your family well into your 30s is not really that uncommon.
It's not, no. But then again, if you know that much about the furry fandom and other stuff, you should know that there's lots of minors that pretend to be older than they are in order to talk to more people.
I was aware of it, but wasn't really something that wasn't at the fore of my mind because I don't really interact with them that much.
Well, I also want to trace it back. When you said you were going to go visit her to help her out, you said sex was not on your mind. You weren't planning on doing that. But then again, you just said right now the only time you found out she was under 18 was when the police were already there to stop you. How did the police even get notified to your location there? And if you didn't have
I
sex,
suppose you did ask me for the story, though I've told it many times. Right. So when I went to pick her up, which was 5 days and 5 nights nonstop driving, to get over there from Texas all the way to California, which is across 5 state borders and over 2,000 miles worth of driving. Um, when I finally got there to pick her up, I mean, she looked very shy, uncertain, and everything. She had her bag and had her Surface Pro laptop, which she doesn't have anymore. The court confiscated it, um, presumably for evidence, but they didn't give it back to her. I mean, she looked like an adult to me, and in my naivete, it did not occur to me to card her. So
well, if
um,
she looked like an
she
adult
got
to
in the
you,
car.
oh, I'm sorry, but I mean, if you said you keep insisting that at the time you thought she was an adult, but you said on
Mhm.
your entire drive there you weren't thinking of having any relationships with her, sexual
Yeah, I
wise.
was focusing mostly on the drive, honestly. But as far as the purpose of going out there is because she was about to get kicked out of her home. I was worried about her safety.
Yes, but you had to have developed some affections for this woman you've been talking to for a while and care about her so much that you would drive across the country.
Well, yeah, but the thing is that Even if, even if, let's say, let's presume that you believed me on that, I had every reason to believe she was an adult. She was still a young adult. And as it's been pointed out to me, people don't really fully mature mentally until around age 24. So she was probably in her 20s.
Well, I mean,
And
the states
so
the
she
states
still
declare
needed,
that
she
18
still,
is legal, so that's fine. I won't try to trap you on that.
well, anyway, so even though, the law says it's okay to mess around with her, at the same time, for a serious relationship, you both need to be on your feet. You both have to be stable. You both have to have your ends meeting. You have to be not just stable, but comfortable. What is the word I'm looking for? You have to be secure that you know where your next meal is coming from, that you have a roof over your head, that you have a safe place to sleep. You're not going to get rolled under a bridge or something. So that was my main concern, was that she was on her feet, that she knew where her next meal was coming from. She had a roof over her head. That was really my primary concern. And then she could choose what to do from there. And if she decided that it wasn't for her, I wasn't going to begrudge it, because, I have people. So I don't really need anything from her. Obviously, it would have been nice, but wasn't my primary concern at the time. And I didn't really go over there for that.
So you were saying that generally you don't look for sex in close relationships. That's what you're saying.
Well, I will say that most of my friends that I've had for many years, benefits tend to be assumed. But what I'm saying is that the courts made it out like I was some kind of predator, that I went over there specifically to be lewd with her, and it's just not true. It's false. And I went over there to help her out. She was going to be becoming homeless. I was going to get her a place to live, get her a job, and then from there she can choose what to do from there.
Well,
And I didn't really think that anything would happen. I figured it was all just, her messing around on the internet. Furries do that. There's often different from how they present themselves online and in real life, and I've accepted that long ago.
well, if you assume furries are messing around the internet, why would you drive so many hours across so many different states? How if you didn't even
I've
know
no,
how old she was, how could you verify that her claims are true?
Honestly, I had not had a lot of sleep at that time.
But how long have you been talking to this woman for before you drove?
At least 6 months.
6 months. You've had 6 months. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to come at you in an attacking way, but you had 6 months talking to this woman,
At least
learning
I
about
don't
her
really know how
life.
many months it was. I thought it felt more like a year, but the court said, and she said later, that it wasn't quite a year.
Well,
So,
nevertheless, this is a significant amount of time. And you found out her address, you found out her living style, you found out what she's going through, what she wants to. You guys declared to run away together. Well, not run away, but start a new life together. You
the
never,
word that we had chosen was elope,
yeah, you wanted to
but
elope, uh, but you never even bothered to ask how old she was.
it didn't come up.
I'm sorry, that's just that is preposterous. That's insane. I
Okay.
I always, whenever I used to start relationships or talk to new people, I always try to set in the table that they are legal age if anything does come of that. And if they don't say, then
Well,
I assume they're underage.
well, for many years, information that's sensitive like that, like address, real name, legal name, anything like that, certainly social security number, obviously, and driver's license number, anything like that is considered sensitive information and generally treated as need to know. And because she wanted me to pick her up, that's the only reason I knew where her address was, because I needed that information to pick her up.
Okay. Um.
So I learned her address when she said, "I'm going to be homeless. I need you to help me, please." So I said, "Okay, where are you at?" That's where how I learned her address.
All right. Um.
But
I would ask you.
honestly, at that time, I did not think, because of the way our conversation was going, I did not think that anything would really happen ever
Well,
between us, because it just seemed like she was in such a shitty situation. All it was a cry for help. She wasn't serious about it.
let's be
So,
honest. She was talking to you for 6 months. I mean, there had to have been some sort of talk. I know you. I know that you do get sexual very easily. I'm not saying that in an
Yeah.
insulting way. I'm saying that you are not shy to like an orgy or
No,
some
I'm not
sort.
shy about that for certain. But at the same time, I don't creep on people.
Yeah, not
They
creeping on
almost always
people.
initiate with me because they had know my reputation and everything. So, I don't have to initiate it. It's not something I need to do. People come to me and I'm okay with that.
All right. Well, I'm not gonna beat a dead horse and keep asking why you didn't find out she was 15 in 6 months after talking to her, and
I was off my meds, and that's what I told the court too.
you were off your
It
meds for
just
6 months,
No, I was off my meds for several years.
several years.
Um,
Why were you? What are you
because
on
I
meds
couldn't
for?
afford the medicine. So, matter of public record, no reason I can't tell you that. I've been diagnosed with bipolar a long time ago. Um, the Back when they had North Star, they've shut that down now. Uh, they actually handed SSI to me without me applying for it. They basically just gave it to me, thinking I'd be debilitated for life because bipolar. Of course, it's bipolar, but they misdiagnosed me as schizoaffective. I'm not schizophrenic. But that's what was on my medical records. And they basically decided for me that, oh, well, this guy's never going to be able to work. He's never going to be able to adjust to normal society. He's never going to function at any kind of level. So we're just going to give this to you. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Okay.
But because of going to jail for a significant amount of time, they cut off my SSI and they're requiring this mountain of paperwork to get it back. I don't know if I will.
You sound pretty well rounded now. I don't see how someone at your level right now, at your level of awareness, could not bother to ask how old she was. I mean, you do have multiple
It's not a good.
relationships successfully. You talk to lots of people, and you do run groups on Telegram consisting of almost up most of 100 people.
Mhm. I run a few.
Yeah. So I want to move on from that because I do appreciate you telling us your story. I think it helps us better
Hmm.
understand that. Have you ever had any contact with minors since then?
No, my friends have forbidden me from doing so.
Your friends have forbidden you, but what about online on Telegram?
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Because you are known to have multiple alts.
Yeah, that
What
is known.
what are these alts for?
So because of my exposure, many groups have decided to take whatever was posted as fact, as though they haven't been in the fandom many years and no rumors are basically fabricated at will. So since they don't give me the courtesy of bothering to fact check even the most tiny details, I'm not going to give them the respect of respecting a band because the band was not legitimate. So I just quietly lurk in various public groups as my alts. I don't say anything. I don't really engage. I don't participate in any groups that are not 18 plus. My friends have forbidden that.
Actually, you
Um,
do.
I do not.
You do. You run a chat that is 18 plus.
No, I said that I do not participate in any groups that are not 18 plus
Oh,
that
that are
might have
not.
minors.
Oh, okay. Excuse me.
Yes, I know my upload isn't that great, but
It's all right.
I'm trying to speak slowly so you can hear me.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Um, I have some questions. Or just some things I'm gonna shoot at you. I want you to tell me if they're true or not. So let's just clarify. You did have sex with a 15-year-old while you were 30. That was why you were charged and arrested.
That is
Uh,
correct.
did she get pregnant from that ordeal?
So let's see. According to her and according to the courts and everything, um, conception did occur, and the hospital, under mother's orders, aborted the child early on. So I do not have a child.
Okay. Um, did she It sounds like, did she testify against you or did she try to defend you?
She had claimed from the very beginning that it was consensual, that she was not pressing charges, which is why it was the state of California versus me, not her or her mother versus me. She had been trying to protect me from the very beginning. She was very depressed and gained weight after this when I was convicted. So she had no intention of me getting in trouble over her.
All right.
And when when all this went down, she was very apologetic. I'd received word indirectly that she wanted to apologize for getting me in trouble like that.
Okay. Something else. After you were released, you hooked up with a woman you were originally arrested over. She was 16, and then you moved back to Texas. Is that true or not?
What?
After you were freed and let go, you hooked up with a woman you were previously arrested over. She was 16 at the time, I believe.
No,
Is that not true?
because Anna was 17 by the time I got arrested. And no, I did not hook up with
Which one was Anna?
her. Anna's the one I got in trouble.
That's different from the 15-year-old, right?
No, Anna's the 15-year-old.
Wait, you
I
said
don't know what you're talking about.
she was 17 when you got arrested.
No, she was 15 when I got arrested. When I got released was 1.5 years later. She was 17.
Okay, but did you hook back up with her after you were released?
No,
Okay,
no, I'm not in contact with any minors.
all right. Another question I have.
Hmm.
Uh, when you were in the 18 and up daddy roulette chat, you added a 16-year-old girl, knowing full well she was underage, and you later confirmed that by saying she was not going to be 18 until 2021.
That was Madam Gypsy's contention. Yeah.
Okay, but is that true or not?
My friends have forbidden me from having any contact with any
Yes,
minors.
you've said that,
So
but is that true or not?
Madam Gypsy had posted a bunch of logs saying that I was at fault for that girl being added to the group.
Well, I'm asking you because you added that woman to the group. You added that girl to the group.
Mm.
Is what I said true?
So her claim was that I knew her weight, her age, and everything. You know, um, so that was the whole reason I was brought to your attention in the first place,
Oh no, the only reason you
and
brought to
all of
my
that.
attention was because you had a charge on you. I just notified the people following the channel about that. But yeah, back to that question. Did you or did you not add a 16-year-old girl you knowingly knew was 16 to an 18 and up chat?
I added a girl to the group. I did not know her age. I was
Okay,
basically just fucking with with Madam Gypsy.
you were fucking with Madame Gypsy, but how would you fuck with her if the person you added was 18? I mean, there's nothing wrong with
Because I
that.
knew she was gonna ban me no matter what I did. So, and she should have known better because we were friends at that time, right?
Who should
Because
have known
I've known
better?
Madam Gypsy. I've known Madam Gypsy for about how many months it had been after that. I don't remember, 4 maybe. But basically, Madam Gypsy was acting very strange, and I was teasing her about it because she was trying to act like I was not what I said I was and everything. I was basically just fucking with her.
Uh, so you were messing with someone by adding someone to a group chat?
No, I added someone to a group chat, and I knew that she was 18 plus. And the thing
But
is,
if
she age played a lot. That girl, woman, age played a lot. So she had her age posted as under 18 on a lot of groups, but it was all fake. So, and that was not the same girl as the one I got in trouble with.
okay, um,
Basically, I was inking Madam Gypsy's chain because she was acting very hysterical. And I was like, you know what? If you're gonna act like this, I'm just gonna keep pulling pulling the yarn on this one. It's all fake, there are no girls on the internet, you know that.
yeah, of course. Another thing I wanted to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you requested and received nudes from a different 16-year-old since you were released. Is that true?
Say that again.
Did you request and receive nudes from a different 16-year-old since you have been released?
I don't know where the hell you heard that, but that is definitely false.
Okay. I wanted to get back to you and your knowledge of Anna before you hooked up with her, cause
Hmm.
here I'm gonna send you
That
something.
was a while ago, but I'll answer as best I can.
Yeah, of course. I'm gonna send you a um, text on Telegram.
Hmm.
And also, someone told me that 16-year-old they have censored proof that those images were sent.
Okay.
I don't know how they would receive that. The person that's telling me this information. But anyways, I wanted to ask: is this your number? I'm gonna send it to you privately on Telegram so no one else sees.
Okay. I'm waiting for it. All right. That is the number associated with uh, my primary Telegram.
Okay, so it is your number. In these
Mm.
messages, there are screenshots of a chat you've had. Let me just read it out. The other person said, "How old is
You
she
should
again?"
know that I don't. You should know that I don't text on this number. Like I don't use SMS at all on this number. So if someone's just sending me shit, I don't even see it.
This isn't SNS. This is Telegram.
Okay.
The number was linked to your Telegram account. I checked myself with my own Telegram client. Um,
Hmm.
they said, "I'm pretty forgiving about past mistakes, but sexually assaulting at the age of 12 and receiving no justice for it." They said, "You said it wasn't like that. I promise it wasn't. I genuinely love Angel. I want to be the best for her, even if it means not being with me." They said, "How old is she exactly?" You said, "Well, when I got busted for being intimate with her, she was 15. I then spent a year and a half in jail." They said, "What?" You said, "Look, you don't always control who you love, okay? I was not able to tell her no. Maybe I should have, but I couldn't. I'm sorry, okay?" So,
Okay.
from those
I actually
messages,
remember that. I remember that conversation, but the problem with that is that this was after the second exposure, and I knew that this person was someone who was just fishing for a response.
so if this
Um,
person was fishing for a response, why would you give them the most horrible response you could ever give?
Trolling mostly,
So you were trolling. You were trolling someone into thinking that you were actually a knowing sex predator.
because they're going to think that anyway.
Okay, but
People are going to think what they want, regardless.
if you hold that sentiment, why are you in this call with us right now? When why are you taking the opportunity to clear your name?
You should know that I held a poll in my primary, family group with all my friends in it, and my own vote for that poll was no. I didn't want to do this, but my friends voted. It was a very close vote. Voted to say that I should give it a chance because they felt that the risk was worth the possible reward. If I could actually uh, let you guys know that I wasn't a fucking predator. There are predators in the fandom, of course. They definitely exist. I've met some of them, blocked them. They're out there, but I was just trying to help a girl out and got in trouble for it. So, the chance wasn't very high. I don't think anyone really believed that there's a good chance of this, but as long as I didn't give you information that wasn't already public knowledge or wasn't easily, just part of the minutes or something like that, or hasn't been said before and probably been screenshotted 1,000 times already, that the risk of having giving you any new material for your channel wasn't very high either. So I'm doing this because my friends wanted me to take the chance. I
Okay.
myself don't think there's really much chance of anything positive coming
Well,
from this.
I gave Ethan a chance, and he proved that he's not purely evil. He just doesn't even know what he's doing. He didn't even know what innocence was. He did not know that word.
Mm.
Um,
That was my impression as well. That he has some significant mental problems, but
and that was true. But from talking to you, you seem very aware. You seem very intelligent.
mm, that was also the court's assessment.
Okay. Um, here's another question. I believe it's on your LinkedIn. You associate your experience as a data analyst for the Federal Bureau of Investigation full time.
Amusing, right?
Huh? What was that?
I was wondering when you guys were going to notice that.
Well, I never published it because I didn't think it was that interesting. I just wanted to ask you.
No, do you really think that the FBI would hire someone with a record like this?
Well, I mean, then that means you are impersonating a federal employee, a federal government
Wrong.
employee.
Actually, before pulling that little prank on you, I actually looked up the law. The law says that that law applies to officers capable of making an arrest. The reason that impersonating an officer is even a law, that is a crime to commit, is because they don't want just regular Joe putting together a fake badge to say, you're under arrest, I represent the law, you're in trouble now. Because obviously that's not going to be okay. But data analysts are not authorized to make arrests.
All right.
They're
Um.
just they're just a Joe Blow office worker.
All right. That was a little
They're
like.
not really, they're not even an officer really.
Yeah. That was a whiff question. I wanted to move on to some more. Here's someone sent in a question. They said, "quote Why did his friend falsify the story when he was in jail to make it sound fair in his favor, saying that Angel had an STD and claiming because Coyo didn't want that they didn't fuck."
So that was during the investigation process before I was convicted. The thing was is that the court, or rather the judge, ordered multiple times for me to be STD tested, and over and over again. I think they ended up blood testing me for HIV 3 times while I was in custody. And from that, and from something the employee that was repeatedly testing me, because there's a specific person within the jail who was in charge of that, they mentioned that he had heard from the courts. I surmised from that that she must be HIV positive. And and then something that was overheard while I was in court, with the lawyer and her mother talking, I overheard because I have very excellent hearing. Um, Also seemed to imply that she might have had something that I did not catch. I later learned that even if she did have not have gotten it, because the way the biology works there is that the one on the receiving end has a very low chance of passing on to the one on the what is the word for it? On the giving end of it.
Okay.
So that didn't really mean anything, even if she had it. I had later received word that she was in fact clean. And my friends ran with that information that I'd phoned by collect call in jail to say, hey, see, he couldn't have done it because he would have HIV then.
All right. I wanted to ask a kind of an easier question. Where do you see yourself in the future? Like, what do you see your goals as?
Well, it's changed from before jail and after jail, that's for certain, because I barely remember anything from before jail. Dissociative amnesia, you know. Um, so now, since even McDonald's considers flipping burgers too good for me, and Walmart considers greeting customers too good for me, I don't see myself working a normal job. I've done everything that I can, went to the Texas Workforce Commission, specific programs intended to help people with reentry into society and everything, and just nobody's around. Even if we weren't dealing with full scale riots in the streets and coronavirus pandemic, uh, destroying everybody's lungs, I mean, I probably still would have a problem, and I'm not even registered. Like, what did I even bother fucking taking a deal for if this was what it was going to be when I got out? You know, did my time, took a deal, which saved the state a whole bunch of money and time and wasted effort on something that was really pretty minor. Um, what did I even do it for? Because now that I'm out, you know, you've got multiple groups. It's not just you guys. You got multiple groups going after me, saying I'm some kind of threat to the fandom. You know, like this isn't my fucking home. And saying that, oh, you know, this guy needs to be kicked out of the fandom. The fandom's all sex based, which I mean, maybe it used to be, It's just like the sci-fi fandom isn't about two-fisted tails and green-skinned space babes anymore. It's becoming a lot more family-friendly in reality. It's not just conventions saying that; it's actually becoming that. It's less and less about that, and more about just the art in general.
Oh, okay.
So it's the idea that Connor Goodwolf is saying is, oh well, if he was really trying to rehabilitate and clean his life up and everything, he shouldn't be here because the fandom's all sex based. That's just not true anymore. Maybe it used to be when the fandom was very young, which by the way was also back when the LGBT community was also a lot like that.
Yeah. I wanted to go back to you adding a 16-year-old to your chat, um, or to a different chat, because there's been more information that's been revealed to me.
Mm-hmm.
In the conversation someone had with that 16-year-old woman, um, they said that they sent you nude photos of themselves while they were 16 when you were in contact with them, and
Mm-hmm.
you had two personal groups linked to your harem, called Dustguard and Dustguard Core. And Core
Mm.
contained most of your trusted people. And in Core,
Okay.
you openly discussed lewd themes, and there was originally three minors in there, but there was two after Angel, who is, I believe, Anna. That's the same person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was,
So you've been screenshots of core, is that correct?
huh?
You're telling me that you have knowledge of core now, and
Uh,
that you had been given this recently.
no, I had this previously. It was just lost in the backlog.
Okay, because core is actually very new.
Okay.
So there's only so long that you could have had that.
Well, I mean, it was like a couple days ago. I don't know. I don't
Well, a
consider.
couple of days ago is when a person named Fish decided to pull up stakes over Black Lives Matter and the riots and everything. She basically used that as an excuse to pull out stakes and leave. This was after the fourth exposure, I think it was.
Well, let me check the timestamp in these messages. They don't seem that old, or they do seem. I don't know. But anyways, for this question I had, there was minors in your chat, in your harem chat. You had two chats, and there's three minors, including Anna. Anna was in this chat you were in. That you.
She hasn't been around. I mean, she deleted her Telegram from
Then who's Angel?
when I got arrested. That's someone else.
It's not the same person, because
And she's not a minor either.
people say
She's probably not even a she.
people say, okay, probably. Do you? So you don't even know anything about this person.
No, and the person posting screenshots probably doesn't even fucking know them.
Okay,
So,
well, the person that posting screenshots has screenshots of the chat where the other person admits to being 16. The person that sent you nude photographs themselves.
I don't even know who the fuck you're talking about. Because there's only so many people that would even that could have had access to that group. It's very small. And you say it was a couple of days ago.
Well, I don't know. I have no
Fish was
idea.
in there,
Like,
and Fish doesn't even know anyone in there. She is told, well, they told me many times that they had no interest in talking to anyone except for me. So, I mean, they don't pay attention to anyone else. They certainly
oh,
don't pay
here,
attention to their
these
pages.
screenshots were taken May 5th.
May.
5th.
So core didn't exist in May. So I don't know what you're talking about.
What were you say? What'd you say?
Core did not exist in May.
Okay, well, these screenshots are from then. I see the timestamp on them. I see the date on top of the screenshots. So I don't know if you're a
Mm-hmm.
time traveler or something, but um, was there minors in a harem chat that you had previously? Let's just remove the core name. Did you have a harem chat back in May?
Yes, but there are no minors.
Okay, well, I mean, there's evidence right here to show that there was minors, and one of these minors sent you pornographic images of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So I don't call it that. Some of my friends call it that half jokingly or mostly jokingly. Um, Obviously, I have a lot of kinksters as friends. But if you're going to say that BDSM is wrong at its face, then I mean, there's not one. discuss, is there?
Uh,
Um, there are no minors in any of my groups, nor have there ever been. Um, I've never added Anna to any of my groups. Anna was only in that one group, and I talked to her. She had not decided to live with me, but she needed help at that time when I drove over there. I didn't think she was ever going to be interested in me in that way. I didn't anticipate any of this happening. She was never associated with my group.
okay. But you
I don't know
saying
anything
that
about
does
the
clash with things
chapter.
you've said, even though you claim you threw away those claims you said as labeling them as trolling other people.
Mm-hmm.
So that does hurt your case. You do understand that.
Never really had one, but go on.
No, I mean I'm giving you one right now. Also, there is forwarded messages of you saying this since the secret chat. This is in reference to the person that you added to an 18 up group, I believe. They said you said
Mm-hmm.
this since the secret chat is out anyway. Angel will turn 18 on April. I don't remember. I don't have access to logs from Angel or Blank anymore. April 2021.
Okay, I remember the person you're talking about. In terms of that, but again, I knew who that person was. I knew that they were associated with your group, with your channel.
I don't know who this person is at all.
That's uh, pretty sure that was Marie, Mama Marie.
Oh, I she's not. She's actually truth to God. She's not contacting me about this right now.
Mama Marie is in your group, and that was a conversation that I had with her.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, she's not the one sending me these screenshots though. So, and
Right.
the person that's linking me these screenshots says that person that transmitted them that evidence has no links to FE whatsoever. But
Mm-hmm.
nevertheless, it doesn't matter who's from where. You said these things. You just admitted
Mm-hmm.
to knowing this person was underage.
This person.
Not this person, but in that conversation, you said Angel will turn 18 in 2021.
Yeah. So,
So you knew that person was a
Anna,
minor.
Anna, uh, yeah, we're talking about Anna, the person that I got in trouble with.
Anna's Angel?
Um, Anna has used that name.
Okay.
She's used many names. So when the account that she deleted, she went by Anna J, but then she changed her name on that account to Angel before deleting it. Um, so I know her as Angel, but she didn't have any kind of Telegram account that I knew about after I came out of jail. I had no contact with her in any way. But these alt accounts or moles or whatever the hell, they're going to believe whatever they want to believe, and so um, there's nothing wrong with yanking chains.
Okay. What did you mean by yanking chains?
Counter trolling.
Oh, counter trolling. But the trolling you did only hurts yourself.
Mm.
I mean, a better troll would, just off the top of my head, was to be posing as a minor and then trying to get these people in trouble. But
Yeah, but that's not going to work because you guys don't care about hurting minors either.
uh, we do. I
As many
there's been
you've
lots
talked
of
about
there's been
in
lots
your
of
channel are minors. You know that,
The
right?
only person I've talked about who was a minor in my channel was Alex the Pegasus, and that was because he was actively helping people, actively helping predators connect to more minors.
Yeah, he doesn't do that ever, and he doesn't talk to anyone anyway. So,
Okay, well, I talked to him a lot, and also I had an alt in your anti-furs exposed group, both of them. Which leads me to my next question.
he had multiple. He had multiple alts there.
Uh, I mean, I have people that connect to me to keep me updated on stuff going on. Sometimes they give me their alt,
Oh,
sometimes
so
they
do
don't.
I.
Yeah, I know because you've made
I don't really
alts.
need alts. I got people.
Well, yeah, but you made alts to harass other people.
Counter trolling is fine.
Counter
Nothing
trolling
morally
is
wrong.
fine, but I mean, the counter trolling you did only goes to help prove the case that you were a sexual predator even further.
If you say so.
All right. Well, let's move on to another question. This one's a little bit not as serious. You said you were willing to hire private investigators or contact the FBI in order to take Furries Exposed down and me.
I said that knowing you had alts in that group. I hope you liked it.
Okay. Well, you said it also in the other group too, where you didn't believe I was there.
Well, I'm pretty sure you have people everywhere.
Okay, but in that same group, you did say, uh, I forgot what you said, but you said something like, "Ha, he doesn't know about this group. Who's foolish now?"
Hmm. It's interesting that you didn't rise to that, but I had no real belief that that group was secure.
Okay. Um,
I was hoping you'd rise to that, but you did not. So kudos to you.
rise to that.
It was big.
Oh.
That statement was big. I was hoping that you would not let it go, but you did. So kudos to you.
Oh yeah, of course. I don't really. It was fun. Um, well, I think that counts for my questions. We might have like other people jump in and ask you questions later on, but I want to give you time because you've been very nice and been answering. Do you have any questions for me or for the group or something that I can answer on the group's behalf?
Hmm. Well, you don't really have a group. You have a channel that you administer, and then you have a couple of admins that help you manage the associated group.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And
Well, for the channel then, because I did transfer the group ownership over.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
Not sure if I believe it, but according to the rumor that I've heard, he transferred it to Temperator.
Yeah, he's a good man.
And I also heard that there was money involved in that. I won't ask about it, but that's what I heard.
All right.
So, since you transferred ownership to Temperator, who is a lot closer to Madame Gypsy than you ever were, what does that mean for the future of exposing furries?
It doesn't mean anything because I still own the channel. I can never transfer ownership of the channel over.
Hmm. I don't really administer any channels seriously, so I wouldn't know about that detail.
Ah, okay. No, Furries Exposed, the channel will still stay the same. The discussion chat will probably go through some power shifts, but other than that, everything's going to stay exactly the same.
Hmm. So your selection of targets and content decisions and the pace of updates and everything not really going to change.
Yeah, I'm the only admin in that channel.
Okay. Um, let's see. Do I have any questions? Pretty much everything I need to know, I already know. Right.
Okay.
I
Um,
guess I don't.
I also wanted to ask, you said you might add other people too to the call. Do you want to add anyone?
No, we decided not to paint target.
I'm sorry, what was that? You kind of cut out.
We decided not to paint target.
Oh, okay. Well, if it's fine with you at this point, I'd like to have other people just jump in and ask you questions.
Go ahead and shoot.
Okay. I'll first let Canadian IceTigress talk first, if she's there.
A good laugh with everything.
Oh, you cut out a little bit.
Didn't
What did you
really
say?
hear you.
Gypsy, do you have a good mic?
Furries, as usual, having high quality audio.
Nah. Okay. Well, she'll just type out her questions then.
So the tiger says So, Koyo, how do you feel knowing you're a blatant liar? I don't know. How does it feel being a shitty ass admin?
Well,
I bet it is. Oh yeah, I really fucking love using your old everything. So I think your old IceTigress username. Oh, I've already admitted that bit. Ain't no fucking admission.
all right. Well,
Cunt.
I feel like the
Any more questions for me?
yeah, I feel like the arguing is not gonna go anywhere. Does anyone else have questions for Koyo?
So what state do you live in, and what's the laws there for age of consent?
So, under the laws of Texas, age of consent is 17 so long as it's within the state. Specifically in terms of how the police determine whether or not it's legitimate that way, it's going to be they need a Texas ID and a Texas address. And if there's any question about it, if they're challenged on it, they need proof of address. That's how that works.
Okay.
I have a question sent from
And
someone.
they're on the side of caution as far as that goes.
Oh, okay. Someone
As soon as, it
asked.
crosses as soon as it's like CP or anything online, or if it crosses state borders in any way, then it becomes 18, which is the federal.
Okay. Someone had a question. Do you regret getting convicted?
Obviously.
Yeah, but I mean, was meeting the girl and being with her worth being convicted? That was the question. That's a full question.
Oh. So obviously, it could have gone better than that. There were other ways I could have handled that. As I mentioned before, though you seem to gloss over it, I was not in a good place at the time. Um, I'm a lot better now, as you can hear. But at that time, I was not in a good place myself, and I was trying to help her out. I had overextended myself. I was working 4 jobs and not getting a lot of sleep. I was working at Domino's, Denny's, All Star Cleaners, which is a little dry cleaning place, and Jimmy John's all at the same time. It was really wearing me out. I had a lot of money in the short term, but yeah, there are a lot of other ways I could have handled that. And CPS, well, the Californian equivalent of that, was already investigating the house. So
Wait,
I could have simply let them handle that
why were they already investigating your house?
because her mother's abusive ass piece of shit.
But what would there be? How did her mother find? Wait a minute. If you knew CPS was investigating your house, wouldn't
Her
you?
house.
Oh, her house. If you knew. Oh, okay, I see. But wait. If you thought she was over the age of 15, why didn't you question why CPS would be there? CPS is only there for minors that can't take care of themselves.
She has younger siblings, and she was saying that she was really the one responsible for her younger siblings. And there were babies in the house. There were little kids running around unwashed, naked, sleeping on the floor, just like wherever they pass out. It
Wait,
was
so
bad.
you had sex with her in a house full of a bunch of like unwashed babies and her mom?
No.
Oh. Well, where did it happen?
So that was also in the court case files and on minutes, so there's no problem saying that. It was in a Walmart parking lot.
Oh, okay.
What the fuck?
I've done worse than that with adults.
Oh yeah, I know I've seen. Um, well, I just want to give a summary of my thoughts so far. You've been very nice. You've been very
Mm-hmm.
polite. You've answered all these questions, but I do
Gypsy.
doubt the sincerity of your recollection of what happened. That there's just too many
Okay.
holes in your story for me to completely buy what you're selling.
Mm-hmm. I didn't really think there was anything to come up with this, but the vote came through, so I gave a stab at it.
Well, it's definitely better that it happened than it didn't happen. But I don't know. It seems strange. You talked to this woman for 6 months. You knew everything about her life. You knew about like her sisters, her mother. You didn't know that she was 18. There's no red flags. She's never had a job
Well, you
before,
volunteer that
so she doesn't
information to me.
drive. Um, you tell other people that you did trust at the time. You tell other
Mm.
people that you trusted at the time. I knew she was 15. I just couldn't say no. How could I say no? There's people saying that there was 16 in your chat, sending you pornographic material with
That's
forwards
not
of
true.
you admitting that they will be 18 at different times. But I think that was linked to something else. Um,
You must be recalling that incorrectly because I've never done that.
maybe, but I mean, you still run porn chats on Telegram, and you also have multiple alts, so no one really knows if it's you or not in somewhere else where you shouldn't be. So
I've admitted that I have alts, but and that sitting on IceTigress is one of them.
yeah,
That's public at this point because the bitch deserves it.
but I mean,
Just sitting on it, not doing anything with it, just sitting on it is enough to piss her.
okay. Well, that's also that leads me to another question. Why did this feud with IceTigress begin with in the first place?
So, as I mentioned before, we were exploring the possibility of a relationship, and she had led me on that. And meanwhile, while she was talking to me, she was also saying in another group, I got forwards and screenshots of that later, that he's like, oh, ha, ha, he has no concern for my well-being. Ha, ha, ha. He has no concern that I might die horribly because of my blood clotting problem. He doesn't give a shit about me. He just wants babies out of me, which wasn't true. And she knew it wasn't true. She was just playing it up for laughs. She had no genuine concern about her relationship with me. It was all a fraud to begin with. On top of that, I was giving her a lot of slack because she was admin of a group that I respected, and she didn't take that seriously either. And when I called the owner on it, he said it wasn't his problem, that he doesn't know why I'm upset, and so we're not friends anymore. Fucking plushophile. And so, I mean, the whole thing was a big clusterfuck. And while I respected him at that time, Madam Gypsy was obviously off her nut and very insincere about the whole thing. She was engaged in this war on her perception of pedos from the very beginning, and I had no idea there was this side of it. So when it came to light that information that I had entrusted her with, including the background report from Amazon and other information, because she was an admin of a group that I respected, and she went and divulged all that information and made it public, which is actually a federal crime, by the way. It is also a crime in Manitoba where she lives. I looked it up.
Well, she never gave me the information. I don't know.
But she did publish.
All right, if you say so.
I'm not really concerned about where she published. It was the fact that she.
All right. To me, it just seems like a lot of no offense, it feels like a personal furry drama that I'm not very good or equipped at tackling. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
By the way, also come to light that Madame Gypsy is not really of. She's not of Roma heritage, so
right.
that also managed to annoy a few people that do.
Okay. Um, seems
Just thought I'd mention.
to me it seems strange that you were convicted and arrested for talking online and developing relationships online, and then immediately after you're released, you create a bunch of alts and start, you know, uh,
No, that was after Madame Gypsy and Connor Goodwolf managed to co-opt my wiki for and lock it down by abusing curator privileges, and even ended my friendship that's been over a decade with Green Reaper, who isn't the same person I remember anymore.
here.
Green Reaper is the owner of
Let me open up your wiki.
WikiFur. So, I mean, your group isn't really all that important in the end. It's not what she usually links to whenever she's harassing members of groups. that she sees as associated with me, like the Natural Order and others. She usually links to the wiki for that she's co-opted.
She said she never touched wiki fur, and when I checked the wiki fur,
Bullshit.
there's nothing smearing you about it. It just said that you were arrested
There's a
for
controversy section that I'm unable to remove, even though I created that article.
a what section?
There's a controversy section and then references which link to things, most of which has been taken down now.
Here, let me take a look, cause I just gave it a
Dead
read.
link.
Didn't seem out of the ordinary.
Yeah, but
Controversy.
that's what she links to.
You were arrested.
She also shows screenshots, which do include information that are a crime in the state of the country of Canada.
Well, I mean, everything here seems true. It seems like it did happen.
I've never made a secret of it. As far as the actual act itself, as for me being a threat to the fandom, that is false. Me going over there for that purpose, that is false. Me hooking up with her after the fact, that is false. I mean, there's other nitpicky little details. Also, she and Connor Good both claimed that I was registered. They knew I was not and claimed that anyway. That is obviously false.
All right.
So there's a bunch of little details like that. While I was in jail for a year and a half doing my time for what I did, at that time I decided I wasn't going to lie about the fact that I had done it, because I mean, it's done. So I wasn't going to try to hide what I did. I wasn't going to pretend like it didn't happen or anything like that. I didn't want to live like that. So
Okay.
it is something that happened, and it could have played out better than that. There was other ways I could have handled that. My friends focused more on the fact that I drove all that way for someone I barely knew.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
is
that was
strange.
stupid, is what it is.
I'm surprised you barely
Um,
knew her over 6 months.
I mean, it's 6 months. Can you really know someone in 6 months? No, you can't.
Yes, you can.
I mean, there's people who are married the day after, but I mean, is that really responsible? No, it's
Well,
not.
I
It's
know
not.
that you have.
That's entirely different.
That is true what he said.
I mean, relationships have to build over years, is what I was saying.
Well, it
I didn't even
seems.
know her for a full year, and I was willing to do this. That was stupid of me.
Well, you said relationships build over years, but at the same time, this woman latched onto you and trusted you so much that she would elope with you.
Yeah, but
Did you even know what she looked like?
I mean,
Oh
now
yeah, you did say that. Yeah.
she was stacked. She was physically developed, but I mean, that doesn't really correlate all the time to maturity and the ability to make adult decisions, as you pointed out earlier.
Yeah, like
Um,
was there any sense where she was talking and she sounded immature? Like you were like, this person does not sound 15. Like they don't know anything about like a
it's
pro
the furry
character.
fandom. It doesn't really mean anything. And
I
people
understand.
have lapsed
I
in
understand that
maturity all the
too.
time, even outside the fandom. But within the fandom, you kind of expect a certain amount of immaturity, even if you're 50.
But
So that doesn't really
you guys
say
never
anything
talked about
here.
future. You were never like, oh, you're 18. What college are you in? Or oh, you're 18. What type of car do you drive? Or oh, what job do you have?
Well, it was mostly her talking to me, honestly. I was there for her as much as I could be, all things considered, because I do have other responsibilities and such.
But for six
And I was
months,
working at the time.
for 6 months, half a year,
Yeah,
you talked to this
and she
woman.
was and she was depressed, so I was helping her through her depression. That was my primary reason for talking to her, is because she
Definitely.
didn't sound like she had anyone else.
I understand that, but you've never had a chat about hobbies. Like, what music do you like? What type of car
So
do you
we
drive?
discussed that. She told me about her YouTube channel that she animated. She even drew me some animated stickers for me.
So,
She made GIFs for me as well, just because she wanted to. I felt bad about it, of course.
it seems strange. Did you ever question why she was not able to get a job or support herself?
There's a lot of people who can't. I mean, if you just go through random pages in the fur faggotry portal on Encyclopedia Dramatica, you'll notice that almost all of them are on SSI that rate pages on there. So it's not like it's uncommon in the fandom to not be able to support yourself even though you're like 35.
Okay.
It didn't dawn on me.
Well, I think it's strange just to think that because I will kind of like do a little self docs here. I am 19.
Mm-hmm.
I've moved to a different country and I now live on my own.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just strange that somebody. I understand someone who is like maybe Ethan because Ethan does have. He's not confirmed me, but
Significant mental problems.
yeah, he does have some issues. But I mean, I was able to pick on that. That's why I decided to call him in the first place. This when you were talking to her, did she seem intelligent? Did she seem self-aware? Did she seem stable?
Oh yes, yeah. She was. She's very, very together. Is the one of the words I used to describe her to my friends. She was very together. She had a very good idea of what she wanted out of life. She wanted to be an animator and do animated films and things like that later in life. She talked about wanting to go to art school and pursue animation more
Was
seriously.
she ever like, oh, I just got out of my middle school day just ended. I'm going home. Did that
She
ever?
never talked about that.
Okay. Well,
She mostly talked about how she felt, about the future, about her situation with her siblings. She talked about her mother some. She tried not to talk about it, but sometimes it had to come up because she was explaining why she was offline for the last 6 hours. She didn't stay away from me for very long.
mm, well,
So if there's like multiple hours that she was offline, she would apologize for it. And I was like, hey, it's okay, people have lost.
yeah. Well, here I think I'm gonna pass the mic over. I'm gonna let someone else jump in because you've answered lots of my questions, which I do appreciate. So I'm gonna let Arctic Fox. Oh, I just said the F word. Okay, I'm gonna let her jump in now.
Yeah, that's what's her face, the one we are talking about earlier.
Marie.
Hmm.
Anyways, go ahead, Marie.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
So
So
I have a couple questions for you, if that's okay.
shoot.
I wasn't here most of the stream, but from what I've just heard, you kind of just like pissed me off. So, talking to someone for 6 months and you don't know, like, have you ever sent pictures?
She showed me some pictures of her as a kid. I got rid of them, obviously, but when I was getting to know her, she showed me some kid pictures of back when she was 10. They were closed. I should just go ahead and say that since you can't even assume that here. No, they were just ordinary pictures of what she was like as a kid. She showed me some pictures back of her when she was younger, and then she showed me some pictures of her, like her face and stuff from then, and she looked like an adult to me.
Don't you think it's a little weird someone would show you pictures when they were 10?
I don't think that's
She's
weird.
well. I had shown pictures of when I was little.
Really?
The conversation came up about kids in general and growing up and stuff like that. She had told me stories about how she was growing up and stuff.
But Mama
And
Marie,
so,
she did bring
hmm?
something up interesting. You did send photos of each other. Every time you referred to this, this woman when she was underage, you keep saying she was stacked. And I'm a guy, you're a guy. I think we know what stacked means.
Hmm.
So what type of photos did she send you?
The photos that she had sent me at that time were of her face because she wanted to let me know what she looked like. And because the conversation about my childhood growing up under in the foster care system, and then earlier before that, I was going raised as a Mormon, and I had this picture when I was baptized, 8 years old. I don't have it anymore, unfortunately. It was quite interesting because in that photo, it looked like I looked like the cat that ate the canary. It was a very amusing photo, and I showed that to her, and she got a kick out of it. She had made a joke at the time. It's like, oh, it doesn't seem like you changed much. I got a laugh out of that. I'm
But
not laughing now.
you said she was stacked. Did she ever send you any photos below the neck?
Um,
Because the courts probably
it
do
just
this
never came up,
sometimes.
honestly. I don't think because there was discussion about her future, and she had told me something about um because it was obviously a sex-themed group. So we had talked about, why we were in the group and things like that, what interests we had in common. But beyond that, we didn't really explore the possibility of a relationship. So it didn't really occur to me that anything like that was
I
even
don't
on the
know.
table.
I don't think I'm gonna buy that. I I can't buy that. I mean, it's a sex chat. You are a pretty sexual person. You're not shy of even having threesomes or more. Uh,
Recorded video and posted text to you even.
yeah.
Hmm.
I've seen. Uh, but I mean,
That doesn't mean that I'm just going to push that on everybody. That's
of
different.
course not. I'm not saying you. We're not saying that you raped this woman. That's not what the court said either. No one said that.
No,
But what?
no, the courts never claimed that because they were going based on her testimony, and she said from the very beginning that it was consensual, that she didn't want them to hurt me.
Yeah, of course. I
But
don't
of
think.
course, the laws required them to act. There's actually a law in California. I forgot exactly what they called it, but basically, the judge and the district attorney didn't even really want to go through with it, but the law required them to. They could go to jail themselves or even go to prison if they did not press the charges on it. Since I admitted to the cops that I had done it,
Yeah,
and
admitted
she
to
said
child
that I
abuse.
had done it, but said that it was consensual. So both sides said that it had happened, and from there they were required by the law to act. They gave me a very light slap on the wrist sentence compared to what it could have been.
Yeah, of
There
course.
were charges. There were charges of CP, but they dropped them. They didn't have enough evidence to go forward with
Whoa,
that.
whoa, hold on.
Fucking great.
Wait. You just said there were charges of CP, yet you said that you never really went into full discussion about porn, like sex.
They
So
weren't me. Is the thing.
they
They were
weren't.
exploring charges of it, but there wasn't evidence because it wasn't me in those photos. I didn't send anything like that.
No, but child pornography, like those laws, only apply to women or to the minors that send them. So,
But I didn't have anything on my phone, so that's what
did you have anything on
happened.
your computer?
I
Because
did
I do know that you use a Telegram client on your
no.
computer.
Yeah,
That
they
makes
have
no
a
sense.
desktop client.
All right, it's strange that the courts would and it's also strange that you never had a sexual conversation with this woman, but when you finally met her, you guys had sex in a car, no less, in a Walmart's parking lot.
Yeah, all of that was strange. Honestly,
Like
I'm not going to
I'm not
contest that
sure
it
if
was
you're like
strange.
Gaston from Beauty and the Beast, but I mean, there
I've had
has
people comparing me to that.
yeah, there has to be some foreplay before that. There has to be some sort of a setup to that.
Well, as far as discussion and teasing and stuff, I mean, I didn't think there was anything serious about it. I didn't think it was going to lead to anything. There wasn't really any serious plans, so I didn't think anything was going to happen. I figured it was all talk. And
Talk. So there was indeed you do admit to it now. There was indeed sexual conversations had with this person.
so the courts were mostly interested in things like photographs of her portrayed in a lewd manner that were in my possession, and that did not happen. I had nothing like that from her. As far as teasing and stuff like that, I do that with a lot of people. But as far as where you draw the line on it, what constitutes textual lewd acts as far as the message content and everything, or where it stops and ends, I really don't know what the law, what the courts and everything determined to be inappropriate as far as that goes, especially considering that I did not really know her age until I learned after the fact from the cop saying, "Oh, by the way, are you aware of what age this passenger of yours might have been?" It was at that point I knew I'd fucked up.
Oh, you were stopped in a car.
So after I'd never actually completed my story. After she had initiated in the car, and because of having known her for 6+ months and working through her depression and everything, I felt bad for her and her situation. I just didn't have it in me to tell her no and possibly hurt her feelings and everything. So I just kind of let it happen. after that, I ran out of gas and had to wait for my paycheck to come on Friday to go and refill the gas. I got turned around with the gas can in hand on my way back. The sun came up. It was really hot. And I think the police wrote a report about that. I think I never actually read it. I ended up collapsing on the side of the highway with the gas can and everything, with 5 gallons of gas. It was very heavy. I should have just got like a half a gallon or even a quarter gallon and then brought the car over there, but I wasn't thinking straight that whole week. So I collapsed on the side of the highway. My friend calls California Highway Patrol. They and the fire department show up. They take me to a community hospital. And Anna was left in the back of the car wondering where the heck I went. So I'm in the hospital. They have an IV drip in my arm. And I'm worrying about her because she got left in the car and it was getting hot for her as well. And we didn't have AC because the car was out of gas. As it turned out, she had already been picked up. There was I learned this later that there's an APB out for my vehicle because the mother had who was going to kick her out had then turned around and reported missing persons when she didn't show up. The police who just got done dropping me off at the hospital put 2 and 2 together, came back, and they encircled me like I was some kind of dangerous criminal or something with their hands on their guns, thinking I was going to try to run or something when I could barely stand. They asked me a few pointed questions, and then one that woke me up was, do you have any idea how old she might have been? And the way that she toned it and everything, the tone of his voice and the way that he said it, and the fact that they were all encircling me when I could barely move. It was at that point, maybe I should have carded her.
Yeah, definitely. That's a big maybe.
And
Also, oh yeah, go on. Sorry.
Once I was at the Palmdale Sheriff Substation, and went ahead and just confessed. Just figured my life was over no matter what I did. At that point, I was ready. I was prepared to get the lethal injection for it. Honestly, I said, okay, whatever, fuck it. So I went ahead and told them everything. They had it on video, had a little video camera on and everything.
They have a video recording of your interview or of your interrogation.
That's right. The initial disposition, I believe they called it.
Is that publicly available?
I have no idea.
Well, I wanted to bring it back because you said when you were driving there, you said she was at risk of being put into foster care.
That is what she told me, yes.
She told you. Don't you find it strange that an 18-year-old was at risk of being put into foster care?
She told me that pulling up memories. She did not say that she was at risk of going to foster care. That would not have made any sense. She said that her family was at risk of going to foster care and that she would be out of a home, is what she told me.
Why would she be out of a home then? It's her mother's not going into foster care. Or how does that work?
Oh, her mother would have gone to prison if the case had gone through. And they're still under investigation as far as I know. I haven't really been keeping up since I don't have contact with them. But yeah, if the head of household, the one who pays all the bills, goes to prison, obviously the house gets taken, it's foreclosed. So she would have been out of house and home anyway.
Did you ever ask why she didn't have a job?
It didn't really come up.
Didn't come up yet. The fact that her going homeless and not having...
I remember suggesting that she look for a job, but she had told me that California was different, that basically all of the fast food jobs were taken by immigrants or something, I think is what she said.
All right.
Come on.
I remember she said something.
Goddamn
like
immigrants taking over the jobs over here doing.
Yeah. Over here in Texas, I had no problems getting a fast food job, but over there in California, she told me it's different.
Come on. You didn't know anyone else living in California, one of the most populated states in the country? at the
Honestly,
time?
never been to California before then, so I wouldn't know.
Well,
That was my first time in California and didn't even get to see LA except outside of a radio car. They call them radio cars over there.
I mean, it's too far fetched. It's too far fetched.
That's what the inmates in jail told me too. They said it sounded like
Oh,
Bruh.
can you tell me?
it sounded like it was a story out of a fucking movie.
Yeah, here. I'm actually curious. How was prison for you?
Well, it wasn't prison; it was men's central jail. And actually, it wasn't quite as bad as living in CPS.
Oh, really? What's Child Protective Services? Oh, what's it like there?
So, in Texas facilities of CPS, it's pretty damn bad. They're not kissing any boo-boos there, I'll tell you that. In fact, juvie would have been a step up. There are a lot of very deserving staff members running those facilities. I could have killed any one of them and got access to the library. I'd have gotten access to computers, programs, education, actual education. I mean, juvie would have been a step up. Because juvie is different from actual, adult prison. Adult prison, you don't get access to the internet at all. But in juvie, they have like more rehab programs and stuff where you would have gotten access to the internet once you'd served your time and things like that. But in CPS, they isolate you from phones. They basically beat the shit out of you if you even look at a phone. They call them restraints, but they're not for your protection at all. Staff members are very abusive. I have no idea where they find these people. Because if they have any kids, they just want to hurry up and go back to their own kids. They don't give a shit about any of you.
Yeah.
So, to answer the question in the group chat about touching kids, it turns out that they actually put you in a special part of the jail. It's called the Ys. Basically, they put a Y on your wristband, and they put you on a special floor. And in this floor, they put all of the people who are in there for that category of crime, even if it's something as dumb as being drunk or high on meth, and it's indecent exposure or something like that. Anything of that category, they put you in there with a bunch of other people that supposedly are similar. Of course, from their perspective, I was on a whole other category. And so a few days in, I got mud stomped. They actually stomped on my head in my cell. I had a few lumps on my head. I had to go suicidal, as they called it, because there's really no way to get transferred from another dorm. Normally, you basically have to say I'm suicidal, then the law requires them to respond to that. Then they redetermine whether the housing they have you in was appropriate. So I applied to be moved to it with G's, which I'm not the only one to have done that. The G's was also known as the gay tank. So they moved me to the gay tank. And then the gay tank, they were pretty chill with it. Since I'm like bisexual.
LGBT people are okay with people
Yeah,
of
that's
the
because
sex
they
with
from
another
kids
race.
as fuck.
I'm not saying anything. This is funny.
Well, so obviously all the house mouses, the dorm representatives, they officially call them, we call them house mouses. The house mouses knew my situation and they went out of their way to protect me in case of
Wow.
things. But honestly, after a few fights that I won, I beat the shit out of this other guy who was bigger than me by about 2 times. Just absolutely face rolled him, and people gave me a victory lap around the dorm after that. Told me I earned my stripes. Basically, nobody fucked with me after that.
There's a question I wanted to ask. At what point did you find out this girl was 15? I just wanted to clarify again.
So the reality is that I didn't know until the cop told me that there was ever a question.
Okay, because
Cop said that,
there's
do you know how old she was? And I'm like, oh shit.
okay, well there's proof of messages that weren't posed. Like you could say you were counter trolling, but I mean this conversation you had was very heartfelt and serious. I can tell from the context it was written in.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
there's messages or screenshots you had with a person, and the conversation was not trollsome whatsoever. This was quite a while ago, and it doesn't look like you were angry at this person at the time. You said,
Okay.
you said, I made a mistake. I should have waited until she was 18, but I couldn't tell her. Uh, no, that's what it boils down to.
That's with Madam Gypsy. I remember that conversation. That was when all that started.
Yeah, so you were
And
still on good terms with Madam Gypsy at the time.
eh,
Because in that previous conversation, that same conversation, she was saying she didn't want to remove you, but she felt for you.
at the same time, I mean, I had left voluntarily. I was being very cooperative. Even though the person that I added, so it's kind of an unpleasant memory for me, honestly. But anyway, I knew that at that point that the relationship that I had with that admin was going to be changed, because she had just before, the day before, she was talking about how this person was a pedo, and how she was going to let him have it and all this stuff. So she obviously had something against people who treated minors like people. But she was being very calm about it, very reasonable at that time. So I thought, we're probably not even going to be friends at this point, but might as well give her a chance on it. I knew that she would not believe that I didn't really know her age until the cop pointed it out. So I didn't even bother trying to make that claim. The victory
So-
lap round actually did happen, but I don't care if you don't believe me.
So wait, so are you admitting that you knew she was 15 before you had sex with her?
No, I did not say that.
Okay, but why would you tell someone that you were trusting at the time, and they later confessed
I
to you
didn't.
about an incident they had previously in their past life? Why would you confess to them that you knew that she was underage?
So
Because that does
that's
not
a good
help your
question.
case. I don't know why you would.
Well, I didn't really have a case at that
You
point.
did, you did.
Remember?
That even if they didn't believe that you did not know she was 18, if you did tell them that story, you could still at least just hold on to that story and maybe they'd believe you. Because at a certain point during this conversation, I did believe
All of
you.
that was a trusted conversation with an admin of a group. That was
Exactly.
supposed to be
This was a
private
trusted
information.
conversation. This was private information. So why would you lie privately to this person that was back then on good terms with you? It doesn't make sense. None of this makes sense.
Not good terms at that point, because she had just removed someone and blamed me for it. So it wasn't good, but at the time I figured it was neutral at best. So telling her that I didn't know until the cop told me that it was just making me look stupid, which is the truth. I was stupid. I didn't want her to think I was stupid, and she wouldn't have believed it anyway. So it was a matter of damage control at that time. But then she turns around, screenshots that private conversation, and posts it into public. So obviously that was a gamble that didn't pay off for me.
Okay. I don't know. That's just, you can say whatever you want to right now, but you admitted to someone that you knew she was that she was underage, and there was no reason for you to lie
Mhm.
back then. The last time I brought something up like this, you said you were counter trolling. I don't know.
Not at that time, no.
This is not looking good for you. I mean, look, the police have already interrogated you, you know. I'm sure you've already told them the truth. Just tell us the truth, you know. It's better for you to be honest than for you to live a lie.
That's what I decided.
Yeah, it's not like you're gonna go to jail again.
Not for this, anyway.
No, you won't. You've already served
Oh.
your time. You've already done your thing. So just admit.
It would just make everyone feel better, including yourself. It was if you just tell people,
Well,
you
I'm not
know.
gonna accept the truth, but here it is. The fact is that I wasn't in a good place mentally. I remember very little of that. Most of what I remember is actually.
Uh-oh. What the hell's going on? Hopefully this fixes it. I'm gonna go
What's
join.
up?
I'm gonna join the chat now.
Okay.
Hello? Okay, there we go. Jesus.
There we go.
All right, sorry about
Bruh.
that. Where were we?
Nothing important. You didn't miss anything.
Okay.
Just waiting for you, really.
Um.
If you want to wrap up this
Yeah, let's wrap it
the
up.
sham,
Let's have some people have a conversation. A few then.
No questions?
Anyone
all
want?
right,
All
guys.
right. So she was 15 at the time. And you were 30 at the time. Could you not tell that there was a significant age gap?
I mean, 20 and 30 is pretty significant, isn't it?
Yeah, it's still 20 and 30. So she was 15 at the time. How could you not see she looked like a child compared to yourself?
I don't have a photo handy of her, but I can tell you. And
No, I'm talking about your own two eyes, telling the difference between her and yourself. I mean, obviously,
most
you
of,
should be a man. If you should have hair, she should have at least some bone structure to indicate that, and similar height. You know,
well, she was a bit on the chubby side. If you come,
chubby doesn't indicate age necessarily. It just means unhealthy.
oh, she wasn't unhealthy.
Yeah,
She was
chubby is unhealthy.
Also, chubby can signify like baby fat.
no, this was not baby fat.
Exactly.
That's pretty obvious.
I mean, sounds like a cope right there, bro.
Okay.
Is
Well, if
anyone?
that's the attitude of the group, then I think we're done
Well,
here.
I mean, look, I've
All
been
right,
very
for a
civil.
nigger.
I've been very civil with you. I don't want you to leave just because one person. You know, I've dedicated a lot of time. I think we've had a good conversation. Does anyone else want to say anything? Mom Marie.
I don't even know what else to ask. I
Uh,
just don't. I don't believe anything he said from when I joined. It makes no sense. I don't know what to keep asking. There's no point of prying more information if he's not going to tell the
well,
truth.
you could just say your
It's just,
mind. This is like discussion panel.
well, I mean, it's making me fucking angry. Like, honestly, I don't see
Hmm.
if you. I don't even care if you're like 20 to 30. If you stand next to a fucking child, even now, you can tell they're a child. I don't care. Like, no 15-year-old's going to act like they're a fucking adult at all,
Hmm.
regardless. And that makes no sense how you can talk to someone for 6 months and never have anything important come up, but you meet them to fuck them. That makes no sense.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
Okay.
Uh,
So are you saying you didn't meet her and fuck her?
I didn't meet her to fuck her. That's what the court
No,
said.
no,
could've
you
just said
met her and
no.
fucked her.
well, that's what. Wait, hold on. That's what the court said. I'm talking about what
No, I
happened.
picked her up. No,
We're
I
talking about
picked
what
her
happened.
up.
Did you have sexual
Picked her
intercourse?
up
Yeah,
to
okay,
help
nice
her
yelling with your
become
fucking shitty ass.
homeless.
You wanna do this, nigga? You fucking tear you apart! Don't fucking talk
Oh,
over me!
fucking
You
God.
dumb bitch!
Shut
Who's
up!
burning out? The fuck is burning out?
I had to remove.
Wait, who's burning out?
That was Anzuden. That was Anzuden.
What the fuck?
Calm down.
I already removed him. There's no point.
He laughed. He laughed.
I removed him.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Uh,
Anyway,
I'm sorry.
I denied that from the very beginning while admitting that it happened. So they decided it was nonsense to keep trying to press charges on that when I was perfectly willing to make a deal with them. So I mean, it did make sense to them, and it shouldn't make sense to you. I didn't go over there for that purpose. So to say, well, you don't known them for 6 months, nothing important came up, and you went over to the fucker. Wrong. No, I did not go over there to fuck her. I went over there to pick her up because she was about to be homeless, and she was my friend, and I cared about her. I was going to bring her over here, get her on her feet, and then what she did from there was not her business. But that's not what ended up happening. She fucked me. I got in trouble for
Oh,
it.
wait,
I
hold
did my
on.
time for
You're
it.
saying the 15-year-old.
So, are you saying she raped you?
You're saying the 15-year-old put the moves on you, the man who has had orgies in the past, and I'm assuming the 15-year-old was a virgin.
She was not, as it turned out.
Wow. Bruh. Look, okay, your story has been changing throughout. First you said you had sex with her, then she
It
fucked
hasn't
you.
changed. Don't try to say that.
Okay. Well, I mean, do you want to bring anyone in here to talk? Because I remember you
I
said.
don't see the point.
Okay, because I don't know, you brought the idea up earlier.
I just wanted to see if you would allow for it. That's all I asked.
Oh yeah, of course. I thought it'd be more fun. Does anyone else want to say anything more? Just Cody, generic, tune.
I'm not gonna talk again.
All right.
And she
I
did
had
approach
nothing to
me.
say.
Gypsy, do you want to jump in this? Do you think your mic is better?
Jesus.
Ah, okay.
I'm not gonna lie. This game headache.
Anything else? Because I have anything else? Because I have shit to do.
No, that seems it.
All right, bye.
All right, thank you.
My fucking God.
Let me turn the stream off. Okay,
Wait, so the when generic said nigger, it was streamed.
no, that was
Yeah.
Anzuden. Yeah, that was streamed. But
Oh,
anyways,
okay.
let me say goodbye to stream. Okay, thank you for coming to Minecraft Let's Play. It was really fun. I'll come stream next time when my mom lets me. Bye bye.
Oh well.